Welcome to this predicted paper from onmaths. This paper represents the best guess for the upcoming exams. Please use this paper in addition to your other revision. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. Onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing. So 7 times 10 to the power 4 is going to be 7, and it's going to be 70,000. And 9 times 10 to the power of 7 will be 90 million. And so when you add them together, you get 900700000. Now, if you have access to a calculator, if this is on the calculator paper, then you can just type it into your calculator. Some people think there's a quick way of doing this, like adding the 7 and the 9. There isn't. You've just got to work out what this number is, work out what this number is, and add them together. First thing I'm going to do is just draw the square out, and we know the length of it is 10x plus 10, but it is a square, so that's the same all the way around it. But we're also told that the perimeter is 440, so the perimeter is 440. So what we can do is we can work out the perimeter in algebra by multiplying 10x plus 10 by 4, or just adding up the 4 lengths that we've got. So we're going to do 4 times 10x plus 10. But we also know that that is going to be 440 because we're told in the question that the perimeter is 440. So put our lines in because we're going to solve, and we're just going to start by expanding the brackets, so that'll be 40x plus 40 equals 440. Then we're going to get rid of the plus 40 first, so take away 40 both sides. And so that would be 40x equals 400. And then we get rid of the 40 before the x, so we divide both sides by 40. And we've got x equals 10. So our answer is 10. So we're given 21 to 4 is the ratio. And we're just going to have our lines in, because what we need to do is make the left-hand side be 1. Okay? And to do that, for 21, I need to divide it by itself, divide it by 21. And we're going to do the same to the right-hand side. So 21 divided by 21 is 1. Perfect, that's what we wanted. 4 divided by 21 is 0.190, blah, blah, blah. It says it wants it to 2 decimal places, so it's going to be 1 to 0.19. So if we imagine we've got the 25 meter pipe here, and we've got the 35 meter pipe here. The question's basically asking us, what can we cut all these pipes into, and they all have to be the same length, that will fit with the 25 meter and the 35 meter. And essentially what this question's asking is, what is the highest common factor of 25 and 35? So to find the highest common factor, what we do is we just find the factors of 25, which is 1, 25, and 5, and 5. And the factors of 35, which will be 1 and 35, and 5 and 7. And the highest common factor is the number in both lists, the highest number in both lists, so it's 5. So what we can do is we can cut all of these pipes into 5 meter pipes. So 1, 2, 3, 4. To scale, and then 7 of these, so 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, and so there's 7 in total. So each of these are 5 meter long, and there's no wastage, and that's the longest we can make the pipes for there to be no wastage at all. So my answer is 5 meters. The important thing when choosing a sample is that everyone has an equal chance of being picked. So if you look at method 1, picking the first 30 students who enter the school is going to have a bias, because There might be a difference in the type of person who arrives early to school to the type of person who might arrive later. If we select a class in the school, then they're generally all going to be the same age. So if it's a year 7 class or a year 11 class, they're all going to be the same age. It might seem that it's fair that picking the first 30 students alphabetically, so A to F or whatever, again, that's not fair because the people at the end of the register don't have an equal chance of being picked. So you need to make sure everyone in your population has an equal chance of being picked. So picking 30 students out of a hat containing all the students' names in is definitely the fairest way of picking a sample from this list. This question seems a lot harder than it is. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by rewriting the prime factors but without the squared, so 2 times 3 times 3 times 5 times 5. I'm going to do the same with the other list as well, so 2 times 2 times 3 times 11. Now I'm going to put these into a Venn diagram, and so I'm just going to draw out a Venn diagram and get my two circles, because we're going to have the 450 and the 132. So 450 is on the left hand side and 132 is on the right hand side. And we're going to start just filling out the Venn diagram. So they both have a 2 in them and they both have a 3, but 450 has a 3, a 5 and a 5. And 132 has that 2 in the 11. Now to find the lowest common multiple, what you do is you just multiply all these numbers together, and that will give you the lowest common multiple. So what we're going to do is we're going to do 3 times 5 times 5, which are the numbers on the left, times 2 times 3, which are the numbers in the middle, times 2 times 11. And when we do that, we get 9,900, and that's it. So our answer is 9,900. We know that when you multiply powers with the same base, and here we've got all these as base v, you add the powers. So we're actually looking at what do we add to 11, which is this one here, to get to the 15. 11 plus 4 is 15. So w therefore equals 4. The formula for an exterior angle for a regular polygon is 360 divided by the amount of sides. Now here we're given the fact that the exterior angle is 30 and we're looking for n, so we just need to rearrange the equation. We can times both sides by n. And then divide both sides by 30. And so we've got n equals 360 divided by 30. And when you do 360 divided by 30, we get the answer of 12. So it's a 12-sided shape. So to make estimates from a scatter graph, we've got to first of all draw a line of best fit, which would be something like this. And what we'll do is to find estimate of test score B, given the fact they got 25 on test A, means that we would draw a line up from test A at 25, should be here, and then across, and that's how we'd make the estimate. But look at where that is hitting our line of best fit. It's hitting it here. What do you notice about this position here? Well, all of our data is down here. We don't know whether this trend continues up at this point here. We have no idea. For instance, if you were to plot a scatter graph of height against age, we would see it would increase like that, but that line doesn't continue on forever. Like, you're not a 10-foot giant at the age of 30. You do slowly stop growing, and so we don't know whether the trend continues. So we call this extrapolation. So we say that the data has been extrapolated. And what that means is it is probably not accurate. So when you have the data outside the range of the data, when you have a prediction, outside the range of the data, we say it's probably not accurate. If it was inside the data, we would say it's interpolated, and that's actually quite accurate. So to find the area of a rectangle, we just multiply the width and the length. So that's what we're going to do here. But whenever you have an expression representing a length or a width or anything really, you just put brackets around it. So we go u minus 2 times u plus 9. Okay, and the way we do this is with our grid. And I'm just going to draw out the grid. And so we've got u minus 2, and we're multiplying it by u plus 9. Don't want too many for some reason. And so we've got u times u, which is u squared, u times minus 2, which is minus 2u, 9 times u, which is 9u, and 9 times minus 2, which is minus 18. And what we're going to do is we're just normally going to be able to add these ones together. So our answer will be u squared, and then we're going to do 9u plus minus 2u. Well, that's just going to be 9u take away 2u, which is 7u. So plus 7u, and then minus 18 at the end. So I'm going to start off just with a quick sketch. And we know that the bearing of B from A is 85 degrees. So we're going to have A here and B here. And let's just draw a line between them. And let's do both our north lines. And so we know that this angle here is 85 because it's the angle on the bearing of B from A, so it's 85 degrees. So now it says work out the bearing of A from B. So the first thing we can do is actually just draw a line going down here. And we know that this angle here will also be 85 degrees because of alternate angles. It's always best to write that down somewhere, so we can just put in brackets here alternate angles. And we know that this angle here is going to be 180 degrees because it's a straight line. And I'm not a fan of doing the reasons on the diagram, so maybe perhaps I should have labelled this an x and this a y and written x equals 85 and y equals 180 somewhere else. And so to work out what the bearing is, I just need to do 180 plus 85. So 180 plus 85 is going to be 265 degrees. So I'm going to start just by writing out the equation. And I can put my lines in. Okay, we're asked to make x the subject, so we're going to first of all add 10 to both sides. In fact, I'm just going to move all this over a little bit so I've got a bit more space. Okay, so we're left with m plus 10 on the left hand side, and we've got 1/7 x on the right hand side. Now to get rid of the 1/7, what I can do is just times both sides by 7. So 7 brackets m plus 10 equals x. So x therefore would equal 7 brackets m plus 10, but it says expand your answer fully. So we're just going to expand the brackets, 7m plus 70. So for this question, what we need to do is factorise 4t plus 6. Now factorise means put it into brackets. So if I try, what I can do is I can actually put a 1 on the outside here. So 1 times 4t plus 6 is 4t plus 6, but the question clearly states that it is higher than 1. So we need to find another number that's higher than 1 to factorise this with. So if we look at 4t and 6, well, they're both in the 2 times table. So I can put a 2 on the outside here. 2 times 2t is 4t, and 2 times 3 is 6. So what we can do is we can just check that out with smiles and rainbows. put all my times down there to remind me to times it. So 2 times 2t is 4t, 2 times 3 is 6. So that works because that is the same as this in the question. So we know that 2 times 2t plus 3 works. In fact, it's the only one that works with it being an integer. So we therefore know that the known side, because it says it's a known number, is 2, and the other side will be 2t plus 3. And then when you multiply them together, you get the area of 4t plus 6. So our answer, because it says the length is the known number, so that's the length, then we're finding the width, which is this one here. So it's 2t plus 3. It's important to remember our speed, distance, time triangle. So we've got speed equals distance over time. And here we are given a distance because from here we're 16 kilometers away from home. So the distance, let's just draw another triangle, the distance will be 16. And we're told that the speed is 32 kilometers per hour. So the speed is 32. So to find the time, we're going to do 16 divided by 32. So the time is a half an hour. And half an hour would bring us, if we start here, half an hour would bring us to 2030 because it's 8 o'clock where we start and we end, therefore, half an hour later. So I'm going to write out the equation again just to give us a bit more space. And the rule we have here is if we have an x on both sides, which we do in here, we pick the smallest one to get rid of. So we've got a 12x and a 7x. And so the smaller number, or the smaller x, would be the 7x. So we're going to get rid of that first. So we've got our lines in, and we're going to take away 7x both sides. And so 12x take away 7x is 5x. And the 7x is gone, so it's just equals to 46. Then we've got the minus 4 to get rid of, so we're going to add 4 both sides. And then we've got this times 5 here, so we're going to divide 5 both sides. So we've got x equals 50 divided by 5, which is 10. The formula y equals mx plus c includes this m, and the m means the gradient. So if we're looking for something that is parallel to y equals 9x plus 18, we're looking at this number here. And for it to be parallel, it needs to have the same gradient. So we could just write y equals 9x plus or subtract anything. Or we could just write y equals 9x. I'm going to say plus 5. The word truncated means that we just literally cut off the next number along. So if we imagine this is our number, we just cut it off. So it's not the same as rounding. We just don't change this digit at all. We just cut off the remaining digits. So the smallest number it could be before it was cut off is 79.500000. The largest number it could have been, well, it could have been 79.5999, etc. So that's the largest it could have been. So to do our error interval, well, the smallest it could have been is 79.5, and it could have been 79.5, and we'll call this x. But we're looking at any number that is less than 79.6. So any number that's less than 79.6. If it was 79.6, then when we cut it off, it would show as 79.6. With this question, you've just got to know what the different functions look like. So with C and D, we've got quadratic functions. One's a positive quadratic, which is a U shape. One's a negative quadratic, which is a kind of upside down U shape or an N shape. And here we don't have that, so we can get rid of those in our thoughts straight away. A is a positive cubic, which goes up, then down, then up again. and b is a negative cubic, which goes down, up, and then down again. So this one here goes up, down, up again. That's going to be a positive cubic. So our answer is A. It's sometimes easier in these questions to view these triangles as two separate triangles rather than one triangle. So we're kind of just going to split this triangle off and just move it to the side so we can see what's going on. I'm going to do the same with the smaller triangle and kind of move that to the side. So we can see we've got two triangles here. We've got a big triangle and small triangle. And we can label the sides of them as 18. Now this long length would be 20 plus x, 20 centimeters plus x. Then we've got 6 here and we've got x here. Now the two triangles are similar because the sides here we assume are, well, we know they are parallel because they are right angles, and they share an angle here, which we can just label as A, and so they are definitely similar, which means that one is an enlargement of the other. So we need the scale factor first. Now if you look at the 6 and the 18, they are what we call corresponding sides. So we need to work out the scale factor by finding out what I multiply the 6 by to get to the 18. Well, that's obviously going to be 3. So we now know that we can times the x by 3 to get to the 20 plus x. So we can write that down. 3x, I'm timesing the x by 3, and that will give me 20 plus x. And so I can solve this now. Subtract x both sides. Always subtract the smaller amount, so 2x equals 20. And then divide both sides by 2. And so we've got x equals 10. So we know that x equals 10, it says find the length x, and so that will be 10. So this question will probably need a Venn diagram just to make it a bit easier. So I'm going to draw a Venn diagram. You don't need to. If you can work out how to do this question without, you can do, but I think this is a really tricky question to do without a Venn diagram. So it says that they picked two activities. It was either painting, which I'll put as a P, and sport, which I'll put as an S. So let's start filling in the information it gives us. So 11 picked painting and sport, so that will go in the middle because that is painting and sport, and 11 didn't pick painting or sport, so they can sit on the outside. Now here's the problem. It says twice as many people picked sport than painting as one of their activities. So it's saying that the total number in, and let's just show it, the total number in the sport circle is twice as big as the total number in the painting circle. Now, what we can do is we can say, okay, so if the painting we label as x, then the sport will be 2x. But if you look, we've already got a number already in the sport, that 11 there. So in algebra, this will be 2x, take away the 11 that we already know about. And the painting is the same. We know the whole thing is x. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take away the bit we know there, which is the 11, and it will be x minus 11. Now we know that there are 66 students in total. So what we can do now is add up all of the parts of the Venn diagram and get it equal to 66. So x minus 11 plus 11 plus 2x minus 11 plus 11, and all of that will equal 66. This is going to be some solving, so we're just going to put our lines in. Now here we've got x plus 2x, which is 3x. And if I put my tool right, there we are. And we've got minus 11 plus 11, minus 11 plus 11. Well, those just cancel out. So we're left with just the 3x equals, and then 66. We're going to divide that 3 both sides. So we've got x equals 22. So if we go back to our Venn diagram now, we can fill in the blanks. So instead of x minus 11 there, we've got 22 take away 11, which is just 11. Instead of 2x minus 11 there, we've got 22 times 2, which is 44 take away 11, which will be 33. So it says, find the amount that picked sport and not painting, which is this 33 here. So the first thing I notice is the second equation isn't really in the normal format for doing simultaneous equations. So I'm just going to rearrange it so that we have it where we want it to be. And I'm just going to put my lines in so I can rearrange. So the first thing I want is I want the x's and y's on the same side. In fact, actually all I need to do is take away 4y from both sides, and we get 5x minus 4y equals minus 7. Okay, so what we do now is we put both our equations down so we can solve these simultaneously. So 5x minus 4y equals minus 7. And you notice the coefficient of the y is already the same, so we don't need to multiply anything. But the signs are different, and the d in different is the d in add. So we're going to add going downwards. So we're going to add everything. So we're doing 3x plus 5x, which is 8x. 4y plus minus 4y is nothing, which is good, because we want to get rid of that. And 47 take away 7 is 40. All right. Let's put our solving lines in, and we're going to divide by 8 both sides. So we get x equals 5, and we're going to substitute that value into one of the equations. I'm going to pick this top one. So instead of 3x, we're doing 3 times 5 plus 4y equals 47. Get my solving lines in. So that will be 15 plus 4y equals 47, and then we're going to take away the 15 both sides, and so it's 4y equals 47 take away 15, which is 32. Divide by 4 both sides, and we get y equals 8. Now we can check that using this equation here. So 5 times 5 is 25, take away 4 times 8, which is 32, is minus 7. So we know we've got it right. So we're going to first of all draw a tree diagram for this information. You don't have to, but it is easier to understand what's going on. And so the first choice will be the first pick. It'll either be male or female. And the second choice will be the same, male and female. And looking at the questions, there are 3 male names in the hat and 5 names in total. So the fractions for the first one will be 3 over 5. If there's 3 male names, there'll be 2 females. Now, if we've picked a male name already, there'll be 2 left and 4 left in total. If we haven't picked a female, there's still 2 females, but there's 4 left in total. If we picked a female, there'd still be 3 males and only 4 left in total, but there'd only be 1 female left. 1 female name left and 4 left in total. Okay, we're looking for the probability that the genders of the names are different. So looking at the outcomes, the outcome here would be male-male. That's not what we're interested in. Here would be male-female, we are interested in. Female-male, we are interested in. And female-female, we're not interested in. So we're not interested in these ones. And the way that tree diagrams work is as you go along the tree, any fractions you go across, you multiply together to find the outcome. So this will be 3 over 5 times 2 over 4. And I realise I could cancel 2 over 4, but I generally cancel at the end. So 3 times 2 is 6, 5 times 4 is 20. We're going to do the same with the other root. So 2 over 5 times 3 over 4. So 2 over 5 times 3 over 4, 3/4. That would be 6 over 20. Now we're looking to see whether it was male and female or female and male. And the word or in probability means add. So it'd be 6 over 20 plus 6 over 20. And this is the probability of different, which will be 12 over 20. Now 12 over 20 will cancel to 3 over 5, or 3/5. So I'm just going to write this question out just a bit bigger so we can see it a bit better. Okay, so we've got numbers and we've got letters. Let's focus on the numbers first. We've got 77 over 11. So 77 divided by 11 is just 7. So the answer will just be 7 with the numbers. And here we've got x to the power of 11 divided by x to the power of 6. When you divide powers of the same base, and they're both x, you take them away. So you do 11 take away 6, which is 5. So when we find the mean of something, we add the elements together and we divide them by the amount of elements. So here we've got 3 elements. So what we're going to do is add these together and then divide by 3. Now the problem is that the denominators are not the same, so we can't add them yet. But they're all factors of 45. So we're going to times top and bottom of the first one by 9. So we end up with 9k over 45. We're going to times top and bottom by 3. And so it would be 3 brackets k plus 1 over 45. And the last one is over 45, so we don't need to do anything for that. Then we can just add the numerators together. And I'm just going to expand the bracket here, so it's 3k plus 3 plus k plus 4. And then all of that over 45. And then we're going to do 9k plus 3k plus k, which is going to be 13k. And then 3 plus 4, which is just 7 over 45. So the sum of them is 13k plus 7 over 45. So to work out the mean, we need to divide it by 3. But instead of writing divide by 3, we know KFC, keep, flip, change. If you have a division, you keep the first fraction, you change the divide into a times, and you flip the second fraction. So a different and easier way of writing that is times 1/3. So here we just keep the numerator the same because we're timesing it by 1. And then the bottom we just times by the 3, which would be 135. So our answer is 13k plus 7 over 135. A box plot starts with the lowest value, then it goes to the lower quartile. So we have the lowest value, then the lower quartile, and then we have the medium, then the upper quartile, and then the highest value. So lowest value is at 1 on this one, and normally we just put a little kind of line at the end here. So we're going to put a line at 1, and I'm just going to put that line there. Ooh, a little bit further to the right. There we go. And our lower quartile is 9, which is kind of where the box starts. So we're just going to start a box there. We're just going to connect these up. There we go. And our median is 11, so we're just going to show that. Quite a thin box plot so far. Now it says the interquartile range is 5. Now the interquartile range is the distance here. So that's 5. So it's going to be 5 more than the lower quartile. If the lower quartile is at 9, it would be 9 plus 5, which will be 14. So if we get our line at 14, and then complete our box plot. Here we go. Now the range is the total distance of, or the total width of our box plot. So that's 17. So that's going to be 17 higher than the lowest value. Now the lowest value is 1, so 1 plus 17 is going to be 18. So I'm just going to, there we are, and we're going to have that at 18. And again, I'm just going to put a line there. We know that vectors are written as the amount right at the top and the amount up we go at the bottom. So looking just at the x coordinates, we've gone from 5 to 7, so we've gone right 2. Looking at the y coordinates, we've gone from 6 down to 2, so we've actually gone down 4, so it's going to be minus 4. This question doesn't involve using a circle theorem, but it is something you'll need to spot. And if we look at this triangle, something you need to notice is that these two lengths here are both radii, therefore they are equal. Therefore we can work out angle OAB because it's going to equal 70 degrees. And the reason it will equal 70 degrees, which you need to write down to make sure you get the mark, is that it is an isosceles triangle. And in an isosceles triangle, the lengths that are between the equal lengths and the non-equal length are always equal themselves. And then to work out what x is, we just simply do 180, take away the two lots of 70, which will equal 40 degrees. The first thing to notice is we actually have two radii here. So we've got this radius here and this radius here, and all radii are always equal in length, so we have an isosceles triangle here. So this angle here is going to be 19x as well, and we've got to write that down, so we're going to say angle OBA is equal to 19x, and the reason is it's an isosceles triangle. Okay, so we know these two are equal. Well, we also can work out x because, as I said before, we have a triangle here, and all angles in a triangle add up to 180. So we've got 7x plus 19x plus 19x equals 180 degrees, and this is angles in a triangle. Try and draw a better triangle, equal 180 degrees. Try and write out these reasons in full. Okay, so that's going to be, was it 45x equals 180, and let's get our solving lines in, and we're just going to divide both sides by 45. Okay, so we've got x equals 180 divided by 45, which is 4. Now, we're looking for this angle here. That's angle ABC. Now there's a few different ways we could do this. We could work out what this angle is, because it's a big triangle, etc, etc. Or we can use the fact that we've got a tangent touching a radius. So we know that this, let's just pick a different colour, this angle here is 90 degrees. So we can write that down. So angle OBC equals 90 degrees, because it's the angle between a tangent and a radius. Again, make sure you write all the reasons in full. And so therefore, angle ABC, which is what we're asked for, is just 90 take away the 19x. Well, we know that 19x is 19 times 4, because we know that x is 4. And so that would be 76, so in total it would be 14 degrees. So angle ABC is 14 degrees. Now this question is on the calculator paper, so we know we're going to be using the quadratic formula because it asks us to leave our answers to 2 decimal places. So for the quadratic formula, we need to work out what a equals, what b equals, and what c equals. Now a is the number before the x squared, which would be minus 2. B is the number on before the x, which would be 13, and c is the number on its own, which would be minus 17. We're going to write out the quadratic formula, so it's x equals minus b. Now I always put these into brackets, so I'm going to first of all just do the fraction first, just so we've got nice formatting on it. So we're going to have minus brackets b plus minus the square root of brackets b squared minus 4 times a in brackets times c in brackets. Okay, and the reason we put the brackets is that it's very, very easy to make mistakes with the negatives, and so if you put all the numbers in brackets, you'll never make that mistake, and it's going to be over 2a, so that's 2 times minus 2. We're going to first of all put that into our calculators with a plus there, and when you do it with a plus there, you get 1.813 blah blah blah. And then what you're going to do is use your calculator to go back to this and change it for a minus. And when we do that, we get 4.686 blah blah blah. And so to 2 decimal places, we've got 1.81 and 4.69. To find the distance or displacement on a velocity time graph, we're actually going to find the area underneath the graph. And to do that, we're going to split the graph into 2. And we've got the trapezium on the left-hand side, and we've got this rectangle on the right-hand side. So to work out the area of the trapezium, we're going to do half a plus b times the height. And the 2 parallel sides are on the left and the right. So it's going to be half times this part here, which is 40, plus this point here, which is 160. And then the height is actually the width. So the height is this bit here, so it's going to be times 2. Those will cancel out, the half and the times 2, so that would be 200. And similarly, to work out the area of B, it's just length, width times length. So that's going to be 3 wide, and again 160 tall. So 3 times 160, which would be 480. And so we need to work out the total area. And we do that just by adding the 2 together. So 200 plus 480, which will be 680. So to find the magnitude, we've got to first of all work out what's going on. So we know this is how far right, and actually this is going left because it's negative, and this is how far up we go. So we're going 3 left, and let's just show that on a quick sketch. So 3 left and 5 down. So 3 left and 5 down. And what the magnitude is basically the length of this line here, the purple line. And what you might notice is this makes a right angle triangle. And so to find the length of this line, which I can just call x, what we do is we do the a squared plus b squared. So we do 3 squared plus 5 squared. It's just simple Pythagoras. And so what we're going to do is just work out what 3 squared plus 5 squared is. So that's going to be 9 plus 25, which is 34. And then square root both sides. So we've got x is square root of 34, which is 5.830 blah blah blah. Now a different way we can say that, instead of x, what we can do is we can write that as the magnitude of a. That's just a with a line left and right of it. And the reason for that, the reason for the sign is that it is, it's a scalar, it's a magnitude. It doesn't have a direction, so it can be a in any direction. And so we're going to write down our answer, which is 5.83 to 2 decimal places. So we're asked to solve this equation, and the first thing you notice is there are fractions on both sides, and as you know, whenever you see fractions or brackets, try and get rid of them if you can, and that will normally be a really good start to a question, and it's no exception with this one. So what I'm going to do is just copy down the question again, leave a little bit of space as well. Okay, so we've got x minus 4 over 10, and we've got 2 over x on this side. And I'm just going to move down so we've got plenty of space for this question. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is times both sides by x to get rid of the fraction on the left-hand side. So we're just left with 2 on the left-hand side, and when I times that by x, I times the numerator, because whenever you times a fraction by something, it's the numerator you multiply, and the denominator just stays the same. Okay, next I'm going to times by 10 to get rid of the denominator on the right-hand side. 2 times 10 is 20 equals, and then that just gets rid of that over 10. I'm going to expand the numerator while I'm here. And with quadratics, to solve them, I always want to get them equal to 0. So what I'm going to do next is just take away 20 both sides. So we've got 0 equals x squared minus 4x minus 20. And we could say x squared minus 4x minus 20 equals 0. Okay, now clues in the question. It says leave your answer to 2 decimal places, and so we know this will be on the calculator paper as well. Essentially, this is going to be quadratic formula. You can try and factorize it, but you probably won't succeed. So for the quadratic formula, we want to find out what a is. So a is the number before the x squared, which is 1. B is going to be the number before the x, or the coefficient of the x, which is minus 4. And C is the number on its own at the end. Quadratic formula is x equals minus b plus minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac, all of that over 2a. Now, I would recommend, whenever you substitute things into the quadratic formula, to put them in brackets when you type them into the calculator, because all of the issues that can arise from having negatives in the wrong place will not happen if you have your numbers in brackets. And the biggest one is that b squared. A lot of students don't put the negative there, and they end up getting the wrong answer because of it. Okay, so the next thing you need to do is put that into your trusty calculator with a plus and then a negative. So when you put that with a plus, you get 6.84 or 898, blah, blah, blah. And when you put it in the calculator with a negative, and what you can do is use your calculator to go back to that plus and change it to a minus. You get with a negative minus 2.898. And so when we round that to 2 decimal places, which is what it asked for, we get 6.90, and we get minus 2.90. So we know that these two cuboids are similar, which means that they have a scale factor. And so we're going to find the linear scale factor. And the linear scale factor is what we times the 12 by to get to the 54. And to do that, we just do 54, so the big one divided by the little one, to find out what the scale factor is, which is 4.5. So we times it by 4.5 to get from the little one to the big one. Now, this question's all about surface areas, and it says the cube A has a surface area of 1012.5, and we're looking for the surface area of the little one. Okay, so we know to get from here to here, we're going to times it by something, and so to get from the big one to the small one, we're going to divide it by the scale factor. Now we might think the scale factor is 4.5, but we also know that the area scale factor is equal to the linear scale factor squared. You've got to apply the linear scale factor essentially twice. So you've got to times it by 4.5 and then times it by 4.5 again, which is not the same as times 4.5 times 2. You've got to do the scale factor twice. So let's work out what the area scale factor is first. So we're going to square the linear scale factor, so 4.5, and we're going to square it. And then when we do that, we will get the linear scale factor. So let's just type that in, 4.5 squared, and that's going to be 20.25. And so if the area scale factor is 20.25, I then do 1012.5 divided by the area scale factor, so divided by 20.25, and we get the answer of 50. When solving simultaneous equations, when you have the equations drawn graphically, the solutions are just where the two lines cross. So we've got a solution here and a solution here. So the first solution is that x is 0 when y is minus 3, and our second solution is that x is 3 when y equals 0. Here we've got a cubic graph, and we're asked to find out what the equation would be if it was in this form here. So first of all, notice that we've got a negative cubic. A positive cubic looks like this, so we've got a negative cubic, and there is a minus sign there that just deals with that. So we don't need to worry about the fact it's a negative cubic, because that minus sign just means it's negative, fine. Next thing we want to do is find the roots. So the roots are where the line crosses or touches the x-axis. So here we can see it touches it at 6, so when x equals 6. And here, now this is an interesting one, it actually touches it twice. It touches it at minus 7 the first time, going down, and then it touches it at minus 7 going up. So there's technically two roots there. Sort of one root, but it counts twice because it's going down on one root and then up on the other root. So with these, what we need to do is we need to make sure that at x equals 6 and x equals 7, minus 7, that this equation, the whole thing equals 0. So if we imagine a, what does a have to be to make this whole thing equal 0 when we look at this, the fact that a root is at 6? Well, if we put a at minus 6, we get x minus 6 in that bracket there. And if we put in the value of 6, then it's 6 minus 6, which is 0, and so the whole thing is 0, because anything times 0 is 0. So if a is minus 6, let's have a look at b. So what does b have to be? Well, if that's minus 7, if we put b as plus 7, then when we substitute in this minus 7 here into the x, we get minus 7 plus 7, which is 0. So if b is minus 7, then the whole, plus 7, then the whole thing will be 0 at x equals minus 7. And for the c, we're looking at that last root. Again, it will be the same, won't it? It will be x plus 7. Now, you might ask the question, how do you know which is a, which is b, which is c? Actually, it doesn't matter. We could put a at minus 6, and a at 7, and b at minus 6, and c at 7. As long as one of these is minus 6, one and two of these are 7, you'll always get the right answer. So we have the original y equals fx shown in the graph, and it says it has a minimum at 1, minus 1, so it's this one is the black line here, and we're looking to see the new function, the red function, but we notice that actually it looks very similar. It's a U shape for what we can see. It might not be a quadratic, but it looks like a quadratic. And we notice that the point at the bottom has shifted left 1, 2, 3 spaces. Now it's tempting to think that the new function will be f brackets x minus 3. That would be what would be tempting to do, but when you're looking at transforming graphs along the x-axis, it's actually the opposite of what you think. So the actual answer is f brackets x plus 3. So this one would be wrong. I'm going to start off this question by finding length BD, and we do that by doing a little right angle triangle down here, and let's draw that right angle triangle out. Okay, so we've got a length of 4 on ED, length of 3 on BE, and we're looking for length BD. So we're going to use Pythagoras. we've got BD squared equals BE squared plus ED squared. Get our little tram lines in. Okay, so BE is 3, so it's going to be 3 squared plus 4 squared, and that's going to equal 25. Square root both sides, and we've got BD is equal to square root of 25, which is just 5. Okay, we need to now work out what MD is, because we're looking for length AM. So MD is actually just going to be half of BD. So it's going to be half of 5, which is just going to be 2.5. The reason for that is that all of the lengths AB, AC, AD, AE, all of them are the same, so therefore point A will be exactly at the midpoint or above the midpoint of the square, so M is obviously at the midpoint. Okay, next we're going to draw in another right angle triangle. It doesn't actually matter which side we take. I'm just going to take this side because we've worked out what MD is. And let's draw that out down here. Okay, so we've got the length of 5 here. We know the bottom bit is 2.5, and we're looking for the length AM. So another bit of Pythagoras here. So AM squared is going to equal, and we're looking for AM, yep. AM squared is going to equal AD squared, take away MD squared, and AD squared is going to be 5 squared minus 2.5 squared, which is going to equal 18.75. Then we'll square root both sides. I haven't put my tram lines in. Let's get those in as well. Make sure it's all neat and tidy. So we've got AM is equal to 4.330, and because it says 2 decimal places, we want to write down the answer 4.33 centimetres. You can complete a unique version of this paper by going to our onmaths site. onmaths is full of free content to help you prepare for your exams, such as topic-based papers, demon questions, and mini mocks. If you like what we do, please consider subscribing.